Hey everybody, Rick Peterson here, Goes to 11 Media. Thanks for tuning in today. Got an interesting segment for you. We're going to talk about spinners. Now, obviously you guys have watched the channel, you know that we do a fair bit of fly fishing. I'm not a purist by any means, and for those of you guys that are purist fly fishermen, I'm sorry. This segment's going to be for the spinner guys. I believe that everything is a tool and has a place where you're going to use it. So I have no issue with using either fly rod or a spin cast. One of the things I want to talk to you about is with the spinners, and one of my favorite spinners are the Blue Fox, the Vibrax. I think they're a great quality spinner. They have some really interesting attributes to them. When they're spinning through the water, there's a bit of a gear mechanism that makes sound, as well as you get the sound of the blade going through the water as well. And so you're getting the attractant both visually and audibly for the fish to detect on its sensing lines. The thing that I find that is a bit of a downside, nothing major, is that the paint on these does have a tendency, in my past experience, if it hits along the rocks, if you're getting down deeper in or whatever, it chips off quite readily. And I've seen it where in a day of fishing, I've blown big chunks of paint off of these, and it's kind of frustrating when you buy a brand new lure and then you're just stuck with the basic metal spinner blade on there, or even on the bell housing here. So one of the things that I do before I ever use the lure is, and this is not a plug for this company, I just believe in it, it works really well, is Sally Hansen, Hard as Nails. A lot of you guys probably already heard about it. Guys tying to flies, oftentimes you'll use that instead of fly cement on the head cement. It's a great way of tying off your flies and stuff. So I use this for fly tying, but I also love it when I'm doing stuff for protecting the paint. So basically what I do is I give it a really good coating of clear paint, clear nail polish I should say, over top of the outside of the blade. I do the inside of the blade because you're going to have a line there, and then I do the bell housing. That way when the things bounce along the bottom, probably worst case scenario is that the Sally Hansen product might chip off, but I've had really good luck with it, that haven't had any chips since I've been doing that. So just a little tip for you. I mean, because when you're spending $6-7 or whatever on a spinner, you kind of want it to look good for a while, right? Get your value out of it. So I would strongly recommend, before you go out fishing, go and paint some of this on there. This Sally Hansen Hard as Nails is typically, I buy it at the dollar store, so it's usually under $2, and a bottle lasts a long time. So get yourself some of that, and I'll show you in a little demo how I do it. The other thing that I was talking to a friend of mine, Kevin, this is a shout out to you, everybody, educated me on something that he does, which I thought was quite unique, is he will put a Hoochie onto the hook below his spinner, and has had some success doing that as well. So a little bit of surgery needed to obviously put the Hoochie onto the hook. The one thing, don't forget guys, if anybody's in BC and you're fishing in local streams and whatever, if you're not out in the ocean, get rid of your treble hook. I make it as a general practice anyhow. I just automatically pinch my barbs down. That way it's a habit, I'm into it. The second I deal with anything that's brand new, I pinch barbs down. I believe that you should do that anyhow. It's just a good practice. I mean, especially if you're going to do catch and release, it's easier to get the fish off the hook. I know you always want to hook the fish and you don't want to lose it, but it's less traumatic on the fish, and at the same time, it's just a quicker, easier release to get it off the hook. So what I do is I'll pinch this barb down. I will cut off using some heavy-duty side cutters. I'll cut off this existing one here, and this hook has the Siwash head on it, and that will just go on, crimp it down, and it's on good formation. So let's cut to the section where I'm going to do some painting of this for you. So now what we're going to do, we're actually going to get into doing some of the painting here. All I do is dollar store again. You know, dollar stores can be, it's pretty handy for some stuff. I use this for when I'm tying flies. It doesn't matter. I want to hook, set it into there, and then just let it air dry for 10-15 minutes. Let the stuff cure. I'm going to start off with the blade. And again, not rocket science, just going to take a good amount on there and paint it on. Try to give it, you know, even strokes so that you're getting it so it's not wrecking the finish on the blade. I can already see with this blade some very minor imperfections in the paint job. You gotta remember, it's not a fault of the product. These guys are making, you know, thousands and thousands of these in a day. They can't assure that there's no minor deficiencies in the paint job. But I can see up at the top there where it would start to chip if we weren't actually going to seal this in. So we do that, hook that in there, let that sit for a couple of minutes to set. The salmon season is in full effect here. We've got the runs happening of the springs are running, coho are starting to come in. So we're starting to see some productivity happening for the salmon, so we want to get out there and have at it, see what we can get on the line here. I'm going to test these out for you guys in the next day or so. Try and get out there maybe even tomorrow and test out these particular spinners and see how they work as far as efficiency in getting hits from the salmon. Now, the one thing I also want to add to you guys, people have this idea that you know, you got your spinner and that's all you're going to do. One of the things that you want to do that's I found very effective, I've had good success with it, is on the inside of the blade, so the very inside part, take some bait scent. I use the gel version, and you can get it from Procure. It makes a really good one. They make a shrimp and krill sort of scent. And what I do is I put a little bit, and this is a technique that I actually learned from the owner of Procure. He said put a little bit of it and smear it on the inside of the blade. Not on the outside, but on the inside. And what happens is that because it's on the inside of the blade, the gel stays on better. It has more protection than the outside. And the other thing, what's happening is that as that spinner is going through the water, it's making sound, it's doing the visible attractant of the flash, and then it's also leaving a scent trail. It's fantastic. So I thoroughly recommend giving that a go, guys. I've had very good success with it. You know, these things, obviously, they're going to catch the fish's attention. They might even get like a aggravation or an irritation bite out of the fish where it's, you know, aggression bait, I should say. But when you add that bait scent into it, it also brings in, you know, the prey drive too. So go with that, give it a try. I think you'll actually find it really effective. Let us know what your results have been when you're using that formula. Curious to see how you guys do on it. I know I've had good success on it. Yeah, we'll grab out the side wash hook out of here. Try not to impale ourselves. Put that on. And grab pliers. Give it a crimp here. That's done too. Oh, hey, you know what we almost forgot? We almost forgot to pinch our barb down. There we go. I like to take my time pinching the barbs down, make sure it's nice and flush. I've actually heard of situations where conservation officers have taken, to make sure your barbs are pinched down properly, some guys have tried to, we'll call it, circumvent the system and leave a little bit of a barb, and they'll pinch it down but leave a little bit. And what some of the conservation guys will do is they'll actually take the hook and they'll run it into an old pair of pantyhose or nylons, and they'll stick it in, and if it comes back out, great. If it snags, your barb's not pinched enough. So that's a heads up for you guys. Make sure you pinch your barbs down flat, okay? Well, that's curing, and before we start on the bell housing, this is what I'm talking about. This is the gel, this product here. This here is krill scent, and so it comes out as a very thick, viscous gel. And it only takes just a little drop. You don't have to put a whole smush on there, just a little drop, half the size of a pea, and then just spread it around with your finger so it's balanced on the blade, so the blade still rotates. And then next, what we're going to do is we're going to see about hooking up a Hoochie. Here's the Hoochie. So this is new to me to try. We're going to give it a go here, see what happens. What he does, he just simply takes the Hoochie and feeds it onto the hook. Do this without hurting myself is the plan here. There we go. And he just feeds it up the shaft of the hook. I thought it was a really interesting idea that Kevin showed me. I was like, wow, I'd never really thought about doing a Hoochie and a spinner as a combo like this. Guys, I'm super excited with how these things look. I think it turns an already really good spinner into something that could be a salmon slayer. This thing looks deadly. So I'm going to probably throw a couple more on here and touch up some of my spinners from last season. Get everything ready, check some hooks, make sure that they're good and sharp. And then if you have any questions, any comments, feel free to leave them on the comment section. We'll gladly answer your questions. Super excited to have you guys watching us. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It helps us to bring more creative stuff for you guys to see all the time. So subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Just click on that link just over in the corner and you'll see more great content. In the meantime, tight lines, have a great day, and good luck out on the water. We'll talk to you soon.